In the other two services, I always say to people, I wish you could see my email. And I thought about it. Not all of them that I get from church. But I wish you could see all the emails of the stories of the things that God is doing or things that get said to me out in the foyer. And about 3 weeks ago, a young lady from this church came out and said, Pastor Todd, I got to tell you a story. And when she was done telling it to me, there were literally tears in my eyes, and I looked at her, and the first thing I said to her was, you make me a promise that you will go home and write this out and send it to me. She said, I promise I will. And I had this big rock in my mind when I got this. And so I want to just read to you just one letter, and then we're going to go on our way. It's written by a school teacher, and so the writing is really good. You're going to enjoy this. See if you feel about it the way I do when I read it. It says this: there were a bunch of hot dogs left over one night at VBS. So she's talking about our VBS that we held here just 3 weeks ago or so. So I agreed to take some. I thought maybe 20, but the leaders loaded up big boxes full of hot dogs and chips and apples. So Friday I went into work. I work at a middle school in which over 50% of our students receive free or reduced meals. And at lunchtime I reheated 103 hot dogs and set out to drive around the local communities. It started out simple with me running into a few of my past students who are now high schoolers, and they were ecstatic to have some food. A quick, you're the best, and off they went. It was all I needed to get me going. 2 people blessed. I moved on and started driving around the community circle. I ran into 10 guys hanging outside of a house. They were apprehensive about who I was at first, but I pulled up and yelled out to them, I have free hot dogs and chips. Immediately, it brought a smile to their face, and they all came running. They were worried about taking more than one at first, and when I said to them, take as many as you want, they kept thanking me over and over because they were taking them home to their families. They were so appreciative. One gentleman kept asking me for the name and address to the church because he said this was the first blessing he felt he had received in years. I gave him the information and invited him to come anytime. 10+ families blessed. I continued around the circle and decided to go visit one of the families from our school. I chose this family because I see them at the local soup kitchen that I work at often. I knocked on the door and she remembered me. She called all the kids down, 5 of them, and told them to come to the car and grab some food. One of the kids said, Mom, we get to eat lunch today? They were so happy, and each one of them gave me hugs, heartwarming. The mother thanked me for always thinking of her and being so kind to her, even though she has nothing to give back in return. I told her to trust in God and love on her children, and that's more than enough for me. 6 more blessed. Continuing on my journey around the circle, I ran into 2 women walking with 4 children and another 2 infants they were carrying on their backs. They were walking back from trying to reach the elementary school in time for the free meals program that's offered there over the summer. That program only runs for 20 minutes each day, and they had missed it by 3 minutes. Needless to say, both mothers' entire demeanor changed when I told them not to worry because I had free hot dogs and chips. They were all so excited as they thought they weren't eating today either. 8 more blessed. I had now made it all the way around the circle and was back to my school, but I still had about 15 hot dogs and a big box of chips left. As I pulled in the parking lot, there was a gentleman getting ready to walk across the entrance. He stopped to let me pull in. I stopped him and asked him if he wanted some free food. He paused awkwardly. He kept looking up and all around. I wasn't sure what was happening, so I asked him again if he would like the food. He said, I don't want it, but my sister and mother are right around the corner in the apartments. I said, okay, would you like me to deliver it to them? Again, he was silent and kept looking around. Then he apologized and proceeded to tell me he had just left the apartment to see if he could find some food for his family. He said that he, his mother, and his sister had literally just finished praying to God and asking God to keep him safe. They asked God to guide the brother on his quest as he was going out to locate food. He said he kept looking around because God is real, and he felt his presence in this moment. I carried the big chip box full of chips and hot dogs and apples to the door and knocked. A lady answered, and I said, hello, I'm looking for Anita. She said, that's me. I said, I have this box full of food, and I was wondering if I could offer it to you. I explained how I had run into her brother, and he sent me here. She dropped to her knees and cried. She continuously repeated the words, "Thank you, God, thank you, God. You must be an angel. Thank you, God." I put the box down and got next to her and just hugged her. She was so thankful. She said, "Please come in and meet my mom." She was sick and in a wheelchair, so I went over to her as her daughter explained to her what was happening. She quietly cried tears of joy as well. I held her hand, and she squeezed mine as hard as she could. She couldn't say too much, but she didn't have to. Her eyes said thank you 100 times over. I gave them some information to the soup kitchen and wrote down a few places to go for local food banks. They thanked me again, and I left. When I got out the door, I cried too. What an amazing feeling. God used real life and myself to bless these people. I could not have been more thankful for the opportunity. Isn't God good?